with 13 members, multiple subunits. And one system. Turning chaos into masterpiece, this is how it all comes together. In 2013, PLEDIS Entertainment began assembling what would become 17. As the training process for 17 dragged on, the headcount kept climbing. By the time pre-debut content started airing, the lineup had reached 13 members. The industry standard back in 2013 was smaller, having 5 to 9 members, with clear role distribution and minimal overlap. 13 meant chaos unless something fundamental changed. PLEDIS Entertainment began sorting trainees by fixed unit: vocal, rap, and performance. Not to limit what each member could do, but giving each member a home base, a role where their contribution mattered most. That system created accountability. If the rap verse dragged, that was on the hip-hop unit. If the choreography wasn't sharp, the performance unit owned that failure. By early 2015, the structure was locked. Vocal unit had 5 members, hip-hop unit had 4, performance unit had 4. The industry watched with skepticism. But 17's subunit system solved the core problem of how to make 13 individuals feel necessary instead of too much. That system went public on the 26th of May 2015 when 17 debuted with Adore You. The music video opened with all 13 members, but if you look closely, the structure became visible. The vocal unit carried the chorus. The hip-hop unit held the verses. The performance unit led the choreography. Each section had a distinct energy, and the transitions were seamless. Woozi, leader of the vocal unit, co-composed and arranged the track. The hip-hop unit members wrote their own rap verses, which was a rarity for debut groups at the time. And the choreography was primarily created by Hoshi, the leader of the performance unit. The result? The debut EP 17 Carat peaked at number 8 on the Billboard World Albums chart. The debut stage showed their subunit system in action. Vocal unit members handled live stability. Hip-hop unit owned the mic during rap breaks, and performance unit kept formation tight during transitions. There were no weak links because no one was trying to do everything. With the foundation set, each unit began developing its identity, starting with the vocal unit. Woozi, Jonghan, Joshua, DK, Seungkwan, they became the emotional anchor of every 17 release. Their role was consistency. Whether 17 was doing the bright pop of Pretty You or the theatrical concept of rock, the vocal unit made sure it still sounded like 17. Woozi's role here is critical. As the group's primary producer, he shaped how all 3 units interacted musically. He knew how to write for the rappers and how to compose for the dancers. And within the unit, the balance was engineered perfectly. The vocal unit's strength was tonal diversity within unity. DK and Seungkwan handled power vocals, Jonghan and Joshua provided softer contrast, and Woozi bridged the gap. This range meant the vocal unit could carry a ballad, anchor a pop track, or add depth to a performance-heavy song without feeling out of place. Unit tracks like Habit and Pinwheel showcased the vocal unit outside the 13-member format, proving they could function independently while reinforcing the larger group's identity. As the years goes by, the vocal unit had become inseparable from 17's identity, giving fans the expectation of vocal stability alongside performance power. While the vocal unit provided emotional continuity, the hip-hop unit, S-Coops, Wanwoo, Mingyu, and Vernon provided the creative control. Since debut onward, the hip-hop unit contributed to their own lyrics, often crediting all 4 members on the same track. 17's identity as a self-producing idols depended on this unit maintaining narrative control. The four members had distinct styles. Their early track Check-In established this identity of minimal production, conversational lyrics, and no performative toughness. Later tracks like Trauma and Monster added depth without abandoning the core approach, allowing 17 to pivot from genre to genre without it feeling forced. The hip-hop unit role in 17 is important. Without them, 17's performances would have been a series of melodic peaks with no connective tissue. By their fifth year, the hip-hop unit had contributed writing credits to nearly every title track, expanding their role from rapping to co-authoring the group's entire discography. If the hip-hop unit authored the narrative, the performance unit, Hoshi, Jun, The Eight, and Dino wrote the movement. Hoshi treated choreography as a language of its own. With 13 bodies on stage, complex movement can easily look messy. The performance unit's genius was prioritizing clarity over difficulty. They tested formations, adjusted spacing, and ensured that every movement served a purpose. 17's reputation for precision came from the performance unit designing choreography that was as functional as they looked good. This philosophy separated 17 from groups that relied on complexity for its own sake. Unit tracks like Lilili Yabbay and Moonwalker gave the performance unit room to experiment outside the 13-member format. These songs were laboratories, where the performance unit tested ideas, then adapted successful elements into the full group choreography. The performance unit also handled stage direction during live performances, deciding when to break formation, when to isolate members, when to use the full stage versus clustering in the center. 17's visual signature is rooted in the performance unit's ability to treat movement as a medium of composition, proving that their music is meant to be seen as much as it is heard. But three separate units needed coordination, and by 2017, that coordination had formalized into the Leaders unit. S-Cubes, Woozi, and Hoshi emerged as a functional necessity. 13 members meant 13 opinions, and without a mediation structure, decision-making could have fractured the group. The Leaders unit solved this by creating a three-person executive layer. Each leader represented their unit's needs, but all three shared accountability for the group's direction. S-Coops, as 17's official leader, mediated between the group and the company. Woozi controlled the musical direction that includes production, composition, arrangement. Hoshi managed performance logistics. The choreography, stage design, concert pacing. This workflow prevented gridlock and ensured every unit's voice was heard without drowning the process in endless discussion. The Leaders unit formalized in 2017 with Change Up, their first dedicated unit track. The song was upbeat, funk-driven, and sonically distinct from 17's typical output. It demonstrated that the three leaders could function as a creative unit, separate from their leadership roles. The Leaders unit also handled conflict resolution. When tensions arose between members, the three leaders intervened before problems escalated. By balancing their experimental artistry with their roles as the group's emotional anchors, the Leaders unit proved to be the structural foundation upon which 17's longevity was built. Now, not every unit needed to follow the core structure's logic, and BSS proved it. Busak Soon, DK, Hoshi, and Seungkwan actually didn't make sense on first thought. The trio pulled from two official units, DK and Seungkwan from vocal, Hoshi from performance. The three members shared a specific kind of charisma, loud, playful, and unfiltered. They thrived in variety show formats and often brought humor to situations that other members approached with restraint. The unit debuted unofficially through 17's 2018 reality content and variety appearances. DK, Hoshi, and Seungkwan naturally gravitated toward each other during games and interviews. Their first single, Just Do It, released in March 2018, was bright, silly, and designed for viral moments rather than critical acclaim. BSS was an escape valve where the group could be ridiculous without compromising their main discography's tone. BSS became notable subunit because it served a function beyond entertainment. During intense comeback cycles or emotionally heavy concepts, BSS provided balance. Fans could watch 17 perform a dark, theatrical title track, then see Buseok Soon release a video of the same members dancing in animal costumes. The unit released their first full single album, Second Wind, in February 2023, with the title track, Fighting. The song carried emotional weight about perseverance and pressure, breaking records for K-pop's subunit first-week sales and earning Buseok Soon their first Daesang Award. By 2024, Buseok Soon had become a fixture in 17's ecosystem, proving that subunits could be a chart-topping powerhouse in its own right, existing purely to boost morale. By 2024, the subunit system had matured enough to recognize pairings that had been building quietly for years. Jonghan and Wonwoo had existed as an unofficial duo long before their formal debut. Jonghan, from the vocal unit, is known for his ethereal tone and playful personality. Wonwoo, from the hip-hop unit, is defined by his deep voice and reserved demeanor. The duo's official debut arrived on the 17th of June 2024 with the single album This Man. The title track was atmospheric and mid-tempo, built around layered production that gave both voices space to breathe. The song highlighted their differences and let those differences create tension between Jonghan's melodic threads and Wonwoo's spoken-word rap style. The album's second track, Beautiful Monster, continued this approach, with moody, introspective, designed for headphones rather than stages. What made JXW significant was the timing. The duo could have debuted in 2018 or 2020. Their chemistry was always there, but the system waited. It waited until both members had developed enough individually that their collaboration would reveal something new, not just replicate what their respective units already provided. JXW proved that 17's subunit system wasn't a pick and play, but knowing when the right moment had arrived. JXW opened the door for more unexpected pairings, and early 2025 brought another, Hoshi and Woozi, collectively known as HXW. They'd collaborated constantly behind the scenes for a decade, and while tracks like 2017's Bring It had teased their explosive chemistry, they had never operated as a fully branded, standalone unit. The duo officially debuted in early 2025 with a single album that showcased their creative synergy. The title track blended Woozi's production sensibilities with Hoshi's performance-driven approach, resulting in a sound that balanced melody with rhythmic complexity. Woozi handled the vocal sections with his characteristic precision, while Hoshi brought dynamic delivery that straddled singing and rapping. It was a partnership between two leaders who'd been building 17's sound and movement vocabulary for years. HXW's demonstrated that leadership didn't preclude artistry, and that the two members most responsible for 17's creative infrastructure could step out from behind that infrastructure and exist as performers in their own right. The momentum continued in 2025 with CXM. S-Cubes and Mingyu finally receiving an official debut. The pairing had existed conceptually since 2019, recognized by fans as a stabilizing force within the hip-hop unit. S-Cubes was the group's leader. Mingyu was the visual center. Together, they represented a balance between authority and presence, leadership and star power. Their official debut in 2025 leaned into what exactly made CXM compelling. S-Cubes brought his signature steady delivery, commanding without shouting. Mingyu added power and versatility, his deeper tone contrasting with S-Cubes' rhythmic precision. The title track was hip-hop forward with heavy bass, sharp production, and minimal melodic distractions. Two members who'd been holding down the hip-hop unit for a decade, now claiming space as a duo. And then came DK and Seungkwan. By 2025, 17 had established a clear pattern with duo debuts, unexpected pairings, and cross-unit chemistry. DK and Seungkwan broke that pattern. Both of them were from the vocal unit. Both were main vocalists. While the two had shared the spotlight as a vocal duo as early as 2016 with the ballad Say Yes, those early collaborations were viewed as extensions of their roles within the vocal unit. This new debut is something different. The subunit system didn't rush this obvious combination. It had waited 10 years until the members had developed enough individually that their collaboration would reveal total maturity. The upcoming title track for the duo Blue promises to build on that intimacy. From the teasers, the production sounds beautifully minimal, leaning on piano and strings to give both voices maximum space. We expect to hear DK's sharpened control in the higher registers, while Seungkwan grounds the track in the mid-range, providing those layered harmonies that have become their signature. DXS serves as proof that 17 subunit system hasn't fossilized. The group isn't just repeating successful formulas, they are responding to where the members are as artists right now, being more mature, more confident, and more willing to let vulnerability guide their creative decisions. This debut is the natural result of two vocalists reaching a point where collaboration makes sense artistically, not just commercially. While official duo units captured promotional focus, other pairings has existed in 17's ecosystem without formal debuts. These were the line units, groupings based on birth year, nationality, or age rather than skill or creative direction. The 97 line, DK Mingyu the 8, bonded through shared experiences of debuting at the same age. The China line, June and the 8, connected through language and cultural background. The Maknae line centered around Dino and younger members navigating their roles within a large group. These units didn't release music or receive dedicated promotional cycles, but they mattered. Line units served a different function than skill-based subunits. They provided emotional support and social structure outside of creative roles. Line units were about connection. The bonds were real, even if they never translated into official music.
한번 보여주세요. 귀여운 표정.
네? 귀엽지 않아요? 안 귀여우세요? 죄송해요.
17's subunit system was revolutionary because it was sustainable. By 2025, the group had operated under this structure for a decade. While other groups from their era simplified or disbanded, 17's system only deepened. The key was recognizing what needed to stay fixed and what needed to adapt. The three core units, being vocal, hip-hop, and performance, never changed. Every member remained in their primary unit from debut through 2025. That consistency provided stability. Members knew their role, understood their value, and could grow within a clear framework. But everything built on top of that foundation remained fluid. Duo units could form when chemistry emerged. Temporary album-based units could experiment without risk. Leaders could step into the spotlight without abandoning their leadership roles. The system held because the foundation was solid and everything else was designed to move. 17 subunits exist because 13 is too many for chaos and too few for irrelevance. The system turns a logistical challenge into a creative advantage. It's why every member stays. It's why every comeback feels cohesive, despite spanning multiple genres. It's why 17, a decade into their career, still operates like a group with something to prove. The subunit system listens, and it evolves. And as long as that remains true, 17 subunits will continue to work. 17 dared to be bold. Will you?